We know who the astronaut instructor is on board, and we know who the pilot and commander are of both White Knight 2 and VMS Unity, but we do not know who the passengers are. We did get a little bit of a hint on who they are via Virgin Galactic's X account. We know one person has a sleeve that has an American flag and a Nevada flag on it. Another person's sleeve has a UK flag and a South Africa flag. And another person has a UK flag and a like a racing club flag, as well as a patch for Fighting Dementia organization. So that's really all we know. We know what their hands look like, what one of their necks look like, but other than that, this is a really unique mission from what we've seen previously of such an early commercial flight where we don't know who's on board.
И всем привет, с вами снова Aerospace. И, во-первых, сразу извиняюсь за то, что я буду как-то криво говорить, там вот это вот все. Я заболел, у меня, конечно, всего еще 37,4, но чувствую себя довольно хреново. И много говорить я не могу. Ну, в общем-то, сейчас мы смотрим прямую трансляцию запуска пилотируемого космоплана SpaceShipTwo компании Virgin Galactic с миссией Galactic 03 с туристами. Официального стрима на на канале Virgin Galactic нету. Как и стрима даже на NASA SpaceFlight нет. Поэтому непонятно, увидим ли мы сегодня что-то хотя бы. Это стрим от The Launchpad. В общем-то, взлет самолета у нас уже был, походу. Вообще непонятно, что происходит. Ну, в общем, миссия Galactic 03, суборбитальная миссия с туристами. Место старта — космопорт Америка. В Нью-Мексико, США. Космоплан VSS Unity, 13-й полет. Самолёт-носитель VMS Eve. Экипаж: 3 неизвестных туриста и инструктор Колин Беннет. Для него это 3-й полет. Пилоты VSS Unity Никола Пекири, 2-й полет, и Майкл Масучи, 5-й полет. Это будет 2-я миссия компании с туристами. 3-я коммерческая миссия, 4-й полет с пассажирами в этом году, 5-я миссия компании в 2023 году и 7-й суборбитальный полет с пассажирами. Вот, я вот столько проговорил, у меня уже сразу горло болит. Это пипец.
With a video of takeoff on X, but that is all that we have seen at this point. Doesn't show there's a lot of people out at Spaceport America on the video that's on their X account, but no media invited, no live broadcasts. So very interesting to see. Also, just in other space news, while we've been waiting for this, the FAA released a statement announcing that they have completed their investigation into Starship's IFT-1 flight. They have issued 63 corrective actions that SpaceX will need to conduct before they can apply for a new launch license and have a launch.
Итак, сейчас я вам расскажу по минимуму, конечно, потому что полную информацию говорить, но это пипец, про сам корабль SpaceShipTwo.
Coming back to Virgin Galactic's Galactic 3 mission, White Knight 2 now at 33,000 feet in altitude.
Итак, SpaceShipTwo, либо же Scarlet Compositors Model 339, либо же SS-2. Это суборбитальный космический самолет воздушного базирования, предназначенный для космического туризма. Он производится The Space Company, калифорнийская компания, принадлежащая Virgin Galactic.
Mainly tracking the main mothership there of the two, the secondary ship underneath, which is VMS Unity, as it now has 34,000 feet in altitude.
Так,
VMS Unity will continue straight forward.
первый полет был 10 декабря 2010 года. Но это было просто планирование самолета. А 29 апреля 2013 года был первый полет с зажиганием двигателя. И 13 декабря 2018 года первый космический полет. Все было построено два космолета. Вот, он имеет экипаж 2 человека, максимальное количество пассажиров до 6, длина 18,3 метра, размах крыла 8,3 метра, полная стартовая масса 9740 килограмм. Там устанавливается один жидкостно-твердотопливный гибридный ракетный двигатель Rocket Motor 2. Этот двигатель работает на закиси азота и полибутадине с концевыми гидроксильными группами. Имеет тягу в 310 кН и удельный импульс всего 250 секунд. Максимальная скорость до 4000 км в час. И практический потолок до 110 км. Хотя, насколько я помню, он ни разу выше 89 км не залетал. Who is on board today as the passenger for it. We know Virgin Galactic does have their team, but that is really all that we have at this time for that information. Now, to give you an idea of what we're watching for is once we see that divergence of the two vehicles, VMS Unity will be able to track for a little bit of time. It will then drop off flight radar, as obviously it will be going up into space, and that's not covered in flight radar tracking. So we will have a drop off, and then once it comes back down, we will have confirmation. It will react, get its signal back, and we will follow that flood. When it's in space, we'll continue to monitor the mothership as well. Итак, сейчас я вам расскажу про VMS Eve, то есть про самолет, который его поднимает. Подождите. Since they took off from Spaceport America in New Mexico, now passing through 37,000 feet in altitude, slowing down a little bit, only going up about 1,000 feet a minute at this time. They are approaching that flight elevation. Так, что-то подождите. Что-то я туплю очень сильно. But maybe if Virgin Galactic gets to the point of flying, you know, once a week or something, maybe that's something that we'd be able to see. Вот, самолет, который его поднимает, называется Scarlet Compositors Night 2, либо же VK2, ну, то есть VK2, либо же Model 348. Это грузовой четырехмоторный самолет, который используется для подъема космического корабля SpaceShipTwo для сброса с высоты. Он был разработан Scarlet Compositors с 2007 по 2010 год как первый ступень Tyro-1B, двухступенчатой пилотируемой системы запуска в суборбитальный космос. VK2 основан на успешном базовом корабле Spaceship Night, который сам по себе основан на Proteus. Вот первый полет был 28 декабря 2008 года. Был построен один самолет. Экипаж 2 человека. Грузоподъемность до 70 тонн. На высоту 15240 метров. Либо же спутник массой до 200 кг на низкую околоземную орбиту с орбитальной ракетой Launcher One компании Virgin Orbit, которая обанкротилась, к сожалению. Да и Launcher One никогда не запускался с Night 2, он всегда запускался с Boeing 747. Длина самолета 24 метра, размах крыла 43. Силовая установка 4 турбовентиляторных двигателя Pride и Whitney Canada PV308 с тягой 31 кН каждый. Практический потолок 21 300 метров. Do have, for those following along in the developing news on Starship and the completion of the FAA
investigation. SpaceX now having just released a statement continuing through how everything progressed through the flight, confirming that they did have
Блин, а никаких других стримов до сих пор нету.
primary flight computer, leading to a loss of communication to the majority of the booster's engines and ultimately loss of control of the vehicle, going through a lot of what they.
И, блин, извините, я вообще не могу говорить, горло у меня уже начало болеть пипец, и голос, ну вы сами видите, какой у меня, поэтому я сделаю как. А тут где получится? Тут субтитров нет. Я хотел вам Яндекс.Переводчик поставить, но не выйдет, поэтому просто слушайте его. Если что-то будет происходить, я вернусь.
Now 39,700 feet in altitude, slowing to 500 feet per minute vertical speed in the positive. We're just going to keep a close eye to see when we see that separation occur.
Ну, во-первых, откуда... ну да. Ну, во-первых, откуда такие выводы, что он вонючий? Он куда лучше Нью Шепарда, как по мне. 3 неизвестных частных туриста, инструктор Корин Беннет и 2 пилота Никола Пекири и Майкл Сучи. Так, блин. Ну, не знаю, там по-любому есть американец и, может, еще какие-то европейцы. А так непонятно вообще, откуда они. И кто те 3 туриста. И вообще они ничего не хотят говорить про эту миссию. Даже официального стрима нет.
Now up at 41,000 feet, increasing their altitude about 500 feet per minute. You can see that first racetrack was completed. Now they are kind of diverging off into a secondary track. Keeping a close eye on this as they continue to fly. Now 41,300 feet in altitude. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are live tracking White Knight 2, Virgin Galactic's mothership, carrying VSS Unity, as they prepare to conduct their 3rd commercial crew mission. But we don't know who's on board. So there are 3 people. We know one had an American flag and a Nevada flag on her sleeve. We had another had a UK flag and a South Africa flag. And the 3rd passenger had a UK racing club and a dementia patches on their sleeve. So we don't know much more than that at this time. You can now see those vehicles turning to the west. Now, they were almost lined up perfectly with the runway of Spaceport America that you can see right there on your left side of your screen. That's the runway of Spaceport America where they will be returning to land, both of the vehicles. Now passing through 42,350 feet. 42,300 feet. It does show that they have leveled off. There's no vertical speed increase at this time. We'll see if that updates. Okay, they are continuing to increase now, about 250 feet per minute. Currently traveling 276 knots at today's speed. And continuing to increase that altitude now. Now increasing up to 1,000 feet per minute. That major thing that we were watching for is that stage separation of the two vehicles, White Knight 2 and VSS Unity. You'll see the two planes on the left side of your screen split away.
Да фиг знает, о чем он там разговаривает. Я английский знаю примерно так же, как устройство двигателя Раптор. Ну, может, немного лучше. Ну, в общем-то, да. Стрима не будет, просто они будут писать в Твиттере, то есть уже в Иксе, что произошло. В общем, взлет самолета-носителя был, получается, в 14:34 по UTC, то есть вот, да, 25 минут назад. Обычно до сброса корабля обычно сброс корабля происходит через примерно 45-60 минут. Так что нам еще минимум 20 минут на это смотреть. Очень странно, что нас SpaceFlight не стримит. Обычно они все стримят с места события, даже когда Virgin Galactic не стримит.
Doug saying why not just be off property with some cameras. That is the plan for the future. But with these missions, we don't get a whole lot of notice to be able to have crews gather all the gears and jump on flights that are reasonably cost for it. So there's a lot of cost with doing that. But it is something that we are working on trying to do in the future and working with Virgin Galactic directly. Our mission at TLP is to inform and inspire the explorers tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. So it always is our mission to hopefully work with these launch providers to be able to bring you our own independent coverage of these missions, but bring you the best possible coverage of them. So well, we are hoping that we will be able to have some increased coverage for Galactic 4, which we do expect to happen later this year, before the end of the year, possibly even seeing Galactic 4 and 5 by the end of the year. Virgin Galactic continuing trying to do basically a mission a month. Coming up just shy of 44,000 feet. Again, they're leveling off roughly. They're kind of fluctuating there. Back up to 500 feet per minute vertical speed, 640 vertical speed. Now 44,000 feet in altitude. If you are a fan of space and interested in joining the TLP crew, maybe you live in the New-Mexico area or anywhere around the world, we are looking at expanding our TLP crew. You can head over to tlpnetwork.com, fill in an application there. We are looking for a couple more moderators to join our team, as well as some people to join our volunteer journalist team and research team, as we are working on version 2 of the TLP app. We're super excited to have that coming out hopefully in the near future, working on some final things on it, as well as expanding our website to try to make all of space information accessible in one place and easy to understand. So if you're interested in joining that crew, as I said, as a moderator, journalist, researcher, or a rocket chaser, head on over to the website there, fill out that application, and maybe you too can help inform and inspire that next generation. If you're just joining us, though, welcome. We are looking at live flight telemetry from White Knight 2 and VSS Unity, a Virgin Galactic space plane. Now at 44,275 feet in altitude, increasing at about 600 to 700 feet per minute. White Knight 2 took off 29 minutes, 20 seconds ago from Spaceport America, carrying 3 unknown passengers on board. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad. We'll work on answering those live to the best of our abilities. We continue to monitor. What we're waiting for is seeing those two planes separate from each other. That is going to be when we have an idea that the flight has begun and that VSS Unity has been dropped from the White Knight 2 spacecraft and is beginning its journey to space. Waffle, why are they doing so many loops? Wouldn't going straight, turning around, and separating be easier, faster, and cheaper? Yes, but they want to make sure everything works. They want to, one, get up to the right altitude, so they don't want to rush that. Two, they want to do final checkouts of the range, the weather, the passengers, and the vehicle once they are up at that altitude. So that is why you see, very similar to Virgin Orbit, that you would do at least one loop of your flight track, kind of racetrack, prior to separation. And Judge saying maybe they aren't streaming because passengers told them not to. It's absolutely an option or a possibility that passengers had said, you know, we're not interested in being broadcast. That is definitely a possibility. Kind of odd that you'd want to go to space and you're booking a flight like this on a very public, generally speaking, thing, being some of the first people to fly on it and not wanting to be known. It will come out eventually, I would say, probably even later today. Ricky, thank you so much for those gifted memberships. Really appreciate that. Thanks for the support there. White Knight 2 now at 44,200 feet in altitude, leveling off currently. See if they continue to climb at all. Based on their current positioning, though, if you look at the positioning of the runway, it does look really good that they are now parallel to that. So I'd expect them to fly.
Неважливо, як давно ти поповнював рахунок. Ти стар подвоїть гігабайт. Подвоїть гігабайт.
Look to their current trajectory.
Я, конечно, извиняюсь, а что это было? С каких пор на Ютубе реклама в прямых трансляциях? А если у них реклама появится прямо в момент взлета Старшипа? Все, короче, скидываемся мне на премиум. А то так уже жить невозможно. Ладно, я сам его куплю перед полетом Старшипа, потому что это пипец уже. Это уже слишком, блин. Ладно, еще реклама в видео, но, блин, реклама в стримах. Трэш.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're looking at live simulated animations from live telemetry from White Knight 2, Virgin Galactic's mothership, currently carrying VSS Unity. White Knight 2 took off 39 minutes 30 seconds ago from Spaceport America, carrying the VSS Unity spacecraft with a astronaut instructor, 2 flight crew, as well as 3 commercial passengers on board. But that's all we know about these commercial passengers. We have a picture of what was on their sleeve. We know one had a US flag with a Nevada flag, the other had a UK flag with a South Africa flag, and the other had a UK flag with a dementia flag and a racing group flag. That is all we know of these passengers, other than what their hands and neck look like in the little teaser video. But we are continuing to monitor White Knight 2. You can see it now beginning to do that loop back around, completing that red racetrack shape, heading back towards Spaceport America here. If things are nominal, I do expect that this would be when we would see a release of the vehicle coming up here once they are headed back towards Spaceport America, as the flight does occur over the spaceport. But they need to, they've only done about 2/5 of that loop back around so far, so we'll continue to track that. Currently they are at 44,600 feet in altitude, staying right around there, staying within about 300-400 feet in altitude difference for the last number of minutes. The different colors on that map on the left shows their altitude, so you can really see they've been up at that 40 to 44,000 feet range for a fair amount of today's flight. But we are waiting to see that spacecraft separation. You'll know that when that happens because you'll see the 2 vehicles on the left separate. There'll be 2 different tracks. The White Knight 2 will verge to either left or right to clear way as VSS Unity ignites its rocket engine and flies off to space on its mission. Once that rocket engine separates, it will do its kind of backflip maneuver up into near space, and then it will glide back down to Spaceport America. Virgin Galactic not giving any information, as we said, about the passengers, but also no broadcast of today. They've been giving a couple updates via X, just confirming takeoff of the flight, and we'll hopefully have confirmation of separation as well. But that is all that we are getting today for today's mission. Now at 45,000 feet in altitude, you're definitely looking at them completing that loop, heading back towards Spaceport America. Really good sign that this could be when we see that flight. We're going to move that map on the left there. Spaceport America, you can just make out the runway where my hand is on the left side of your screen there. That's the runway where they took off, and that's where generally we see them do the flight kind of right above. If you're just joining us, though, take a moment, engage that like button, share out the stream. We're now 42 minutes, 25 seconds into today's flight. Waiting for separation. You are looking at a simulated live view from Flight Radar 24 that is auto-generated based on live flight telemetry from the spacecraft. We are getting data sources through Albuquerque's ARTCC and ADS-B data sources as we continue to monitor both the White Knight's plane and VSS Unity spacecraft. White Knight 2 is a custom twin-hull airplane that VSS Unity flies underneath of, and then they will have a release and ignition of VSS Unity's rocket engine, which will ultimately carry them up towards the edge of space. Continuing to maintain that 44,500 to just below 45,000 feet in altitude. So continue back towards Spaceport America. You can actually see now on that 3D map view the valley area where Spaceport America is. They'll continue to turn a little bit more to the right and basically are now perfectly lined up with the Spaceport America runway, which will be dead ahead of that 3D model of the plane. Flight Radar doesn't have a custom White Knight plane, so they're just using a 737 model, but gives you a good idea of what the flight crew is kind of seeing in the landscape below them. Now, 44 minutes since White Knight 2 carrying VSS Unity took off from Spaceport America. They are now lined up with the runway. They'll be going through their final checks, but if everything is nominal, this is when we would expect in the next few minutes to see that separation of the spacecraft, carrying those 3 commercial unknown passengers to near space. We're going to continue to watch the altitude, and we're going to watch for the divergence of those 2 vehicles. Virgin Galactic releasing a statement: as we climb to release altitude, our Galactic 3 crew are conducting cabin checks and are preparing for release. So confirmation there that we do have that they are preparing for separation. We will be keeping a close eye there. On the left side of your screen where you see VGX04, that is tracking VMS Unity. We do expect to lose track of that when it does separate and begin its journey up into space, but we'll reacquire that signal as quickly as we can. We'll keep the 3D view of White Knight 2 on the main screen for most of the flight as well, as we won't lose its flight. But we should now be moments away from separation of the 2 aircraft, the vehicles, both at 44,500 feet, traveling 331 knots. If you haven't yet, take a moment, share out the stream, invite people to join us as we are now moments away from today's flight Galactic 3 for Virgin Galactic. 45 minutes, 40 seconds since White Knight 2 took off from Spaceport America. Now beginning to reapproach Spaceport America from the northwest on basically a direct flyover. We are watching flight speed as well as vehicles telemetry to see if we have that separation event. We do expect to see that momentarily here. Normally we would say let's see a go, no go in the chat when we know there's about 2 minutes, but as we think we're imminently there, as always here at the TLP network, we want to see that go, no go from our community in the chat for today's launch. Now 46 minutes, 45 seconds since White Knight 2 took off from Spaceport America. Currently 44,700 feet in altitude. Continuing to stay right in that corridor there within about 400, 500 feet altitude. But we should be seeing that spacecraft separation here basically any moment. If you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. We are awaiting drop of VSS Unity from White Knight 2 for Virgin Galactic's Galactic 3 mission. You're looking at live vehicle telemetry from their transponders over Spaceport America. You can see them reapproaching from the northwest. Currently 44,500 feet in altitude. Traveling 326 knots. We're waiting to see that vehicle separation confirmed on the telemetry on the left side of your screen. We do have a large increase there in vertical speed, now 1,500 meters per second increase, now 45,000 feet in altitude. Now increasing 1,100 feet per minute. So they are gaining some altitude, now 45,500 feet. This is exactly what we expect to see during a separation attempt, 46,250 feet. And I believe that would be separation there. We'll wait to see. That is, yeah, I would take that as separation. We do have the separation of VSS Unity from the mothership. It is now traveling 62,000 feet. We're going to monitor there. White Knight 2 diverting away. VSS Unity now it looks like possibly have dropped off of the live tracking. So we'll keep a close eye on that and wait for reacquisition.
Итак, судя по всему, у нас есть отделение корабля SpaceShipTwo, самолета-носителя.
Separation of the spacecraft, carrying 3 more passengers up to near space, right above Spaceport America. White Knight 2 now removing itself to a safe distance, while the spacecraft continues its.
Да, вот видите, их стало двое, так что у нас есть отделение.
Updated info. We do not have any live data coming in from VSS Unity, as it is now outside of flight tracking information, but it's continuing on a track 177 degrees, flying over Spaceport America. We will wait for reacquisition of its signal for an update.
И теперь он будет лететь вверх с включенным двигателем, порядка 70 секунд он будет работать. Потом он перевернется, используя свои плавники, перевернется в нужное положение для входа в атмосферу и приземлится на взлетную посадочную полосу, недалеко от места взлета. А, скорее всего, даже на ту же самую полосу, вроде бы, да, где он и взлетел. Весь полет продлится порядка 12 минут.
Separation looks like it was right at 9:23 roughly local time. White Knight 2 is currently at 47,200 feet, maintaining, taking itself out.
А никаких неофициальных стримов, мне даже стрима от нас из SpaceShipTwo у нас нет.
Information back from VSS Unity on its altitude as it will glide back down to space.
Ну, ждем дальнейших обновлений.
Off to the left, heading over that valley into a safe range. It will land.
Ну, кстати, дальше, если не будет стримов, где будет видно хоть что-то, я не буду это стримить, если не будет нормального стрима запуска.
No live broadcasts from Virgin Galactic, no media invited, as well as we don't know who the passengers are. So a very different mission here. White Knight 2 now traveling 247 degrees, 249 degrees, 47,000 feet altitude.
Но пока ждем.
Supposedly traveling about a 183 degree trajectory, but we have no altitude data or speed data at this time, as it is outside of the flight tracking network.
Хотя странно, тут еще стоит таймер на 8 минут, интересно,
For
однако.
about 10 minutes, so we should expect to see that data come back from VSS Unity. In the
А, или это уже до посадки время.
No live cameras on board today being released to the public. I know if this was a customer request. Virgin Galactic stating that today's mission had 3 founder astronauts on board who bought their tickets as early as 2005. They said it's their first founders flight, but we do know a founder flew on their last flight, Galactic 2, former Olympic athlete.
Ну, в общем-то, ждем, что будет дальше.
This may be their first dedicated flight of founder astronauts. White Knight 2 now looping kind of back around. It'll stay off at a safe distance until Unity is on the ground. You can see on the telemetry here where we've had that white line drop out on the spacecraft. Looks like it's not even going to want to give us that line right now, so we wait for reacquisition of that signal. But there was change in color as we await for that reacquisition. Hopefully here in the next couple of minutes. If we rotate the 3D view over towards where Spaceport America would be off behind it, yeah, we do not see VSS Unity on the other vehicles at this time. There we go. That's where it went. You can see how it was going basically straight up at that separation point, and that's where we are waiting for that reacquisition of signal. And actually it does look like we have that reacquisition. Yep, we do. 58,600 feet traveling now. VSS Unity making its way back to Spaceport America, having completed its flight. 54,700 feet. We're continuing to track, but you can see there from a side view that galactic flight doing its descent. This is a view from the simulated view from White Knight. looking back towards Spaceport America, where VSS Unity would be. VSS Unity now 42,100 feet, actually below the altitude of White Knight 2. You can see there it's beginning that hard turn as it comes back into the atmosphere from its flight, continuing to descend now 38,000 feet. VSS Unity doesn't have any engines on it, so it is in a glide. It is having to maintain its speed while gliding back to the Spaceport America runway, the bottom left of that telemetry screen. On the simulated view from White Knight 2, you can see the live track of its descent as it continues to do kind of some loop maneuvers to maintain its speed and direction towards the runway. Now traveling 31,350 feet, VSS Unity traveling 346 knots, 325 knots, so roughly the same speed as White Knight 2. With its speed, it does generally do a flyby of Spaceport America and land coming from the other side. So we can see that now occurring. VSS Unity kind of flying to just the west of Spaceport America, 29,000 feet, traveling at 310 knots. We do have confirmation from Virgin of the separation event. So we'll see if we can get that patched in here momentarily for you guys to have a view while we continue to monitor it, awaiting its landing. Really interesting to have.
И появилось видео сброса корабля SpaceShipTwo с самолета-носителя VMS Eve и зажигания двигателя. И вот, судя по всему, у нас и есть это SpaceShipTwo, то есть он уже начал спуск, уже высота порядка 10 километров. Кстати, вот этот самолет, который его сбрасывает, он в реальности выглядит вообще не так. Это просто поставили какую-то рандомную модель тут.
VSS Unity now 26,000 feet, traveling 295 knots. Now quite to the southwest of Spaceport America.
Так. Ну вот я вам покажу взлет самолета-носителя и отделение от самого корабля.
Patching in feed from Virgin Galactic, showing the confirmation of separation event. Hopefully we'll have a view of them landing.
Ну вот, во-первых, взлет.
Into today's flight. Just joining us, welcome here. Continuing to track Virgin Galactic's third commercial crew mission. We're going to bring up a live feed here momentarily, bringing in. This was from Virgin Galactic, showing the separation event.
Go on!
Ну и вот, собственно, сам момент отделения корабля SpaceShipTwo и зажигания его двигателя. Ну что, ждем посадку, что нам еще ждать остается. Вот, высота уже чуть больше 5 километров у него, если это его телеметрия. понимаешь, жест доброй воли, и они нам все-таки показали вид изнутри. Да, это вид изнутри, момент этого полета. Ждем дальше посадку.
Continuing to descend towards Spaceport America. Very short looping video, but showing the three of them up experiencing a Virgin Galactic flight, Virgin Galactic's third commercial crew mission. We know one of them has an USA patch, flag patch with a Nevada flag patch. The other has you can see on the right side of your screen in the middle, he has a UK flag as well as a South Africa flag. And I believe the one further to the back, yes, has the UK with a racing group flag and a dementia, I believe, patch it was. So great to see a little bit of footage of the crew from today's flight, even though today's mission was rather secretive. Continuing back to looking towards Spaceport America, catching up where we are. There we go. This is a simulated view from White Knight 2. You can see VSS Unity below White Knight, now at 7,000 feet, descending towards Spaceport America, preparing to land after doing another successful mission. Confirmation from Virgin Galactic that they have had a good feather lock, and Unity is now a glider heading back to the runway. No video of that, but they are confirmed, as we can see from the telemetry. Things are continuing nominal as we await touchdown of VSS Unity back at Spaceport America. If you haven't yet, take a moment, cage that like button, share out the stream so you never invite people to watch, as well as subscribe so you never miss another live launch coverage. This is a weird one, not having any sort of live views, but we're glad to have you all here. White Knight 2 currently staying 39,800 feet, so well above, but it has begun its descent. It too will land back at Spaceport America. VSS Unity at 7,000 feet, waiting for that telemetry to change. Continuing to try to keep that in shot for you so you can have a rough idea where it is in comparison to White Knight and to the spaceport. Winning, good coverage considering what you have available. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Tamir, I'm sorry if I say that wrong. I think it's Tamir. Thanks for the coverage. Great work. Really appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much for supporting us. It goes back into bringing you guys the best possible coverage that we can. And it does look like that telemetry of VSS Unity has kind of frozen. So it is definitely possible that they are basically on the ground at this point. There is sometimes a slight delay on the telemetry, but we'll wait for confirmation from Virgin Galactic should we see that, as that has not updated now in a number of minutes. But there is the Spaceport America, White Knight 2, now 40,000 feet above the spaceport. And a good shout out in the back channels there. Based on its last ping here, it has continued a straight line. It is very likely that this actually looped down to a low altitude and we have had touchdown, but we will wait for confirmation from Virgin Galactic. The VSS Unity should be on the ground, having completed its third commercial crew mission. Based on that, is just that flight radar continues it out until it has confirmation of loss of signal. But that does signal that it would have glided back. It would not have continued at this altitude for that long. VSS Unity should be back on the ground with astronauts 14, 15, 2016. But we will wait for confirmation from Virgin. As we await that update. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad. We'll work on answering those live to the best of our ability as we await for that update that VSS Unity has landed successfully at Spaceport America. You can see there that flight track of its spacecraft as it returned back, and that cone that it stays in as it reapproaches from its flight. We are awaiting that update. Dan, thanks for the coverage. Understand you were dealing with limitations you could not control. Appreciate that. Yeah, try to do our best. Wanted to make sure we still covered it. It's important to be able to make sure we cover these flights. These are commercial flights, something that hopefully many of us will be able to do, whether with Virgin Galactic or other space providers in the near future. If you haven't yet, make sure when this stream ends, you head on over. We had an exclusive global first look into space engine systems here in Canada, a new up-and-coming trucking company to space that will also be carrying passengers. Their first test flight with their Hello 1X vehicle will be launching next year, with their full-scale vehicles, Hello 1 and Hello 2, hoping to fly by 2025, with the possibility of flying up to 36 passengers at one time and deploying payloads all the way to the moon orbit, moon surface, and possibly even off to Mars. We sat down with their president and CTO for an exclusive first look, went into their factory to take a look at their engines, so definitely take some time and check that out. A big thanks to them for supporting us. We have had confirmation from Virgin Galactic. VSS Unity is on the ground. We will pull up the video here as we have had touchdown back at Spaceport America, completing its third commercial crew mission. Touchdown was expected.
Итак, есть посадка космоплана Virgin Galactic SpaceShipTwo миссии Galactic 03 на взлетно-посадочную полосу. Вот это видео. И все, миссия полностью закончена удачно.
Up at 39,800 feet, waiting for clearance. They do have to wait a while as they have to clear the VMS Unity off the runway ahead of being able to actually land flight 2. That is going to do it for
блин,
today.
вот.
It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers tomorrow.
Ну вот, короче.
Better together. Glad to have had you joining us here for
И все, я буду заканчивать прямую трансляцию, потому что чувствую себя довольно-таки хреново. Поэтому всем спасибо за просмотр и всем пока.